Tango 2. Passenger number 3, cleared off.
Hey guys, welcome to part one of a series of bike setup videos. This is the long-term ADB project bike, which is a 2012 KTM 350 EXCF. The whole purpose of these videos is just to show you how I prepare a bike for riding or racing. You ask any pro rider, if they're not confident with the front end of their bike, they cannot ride. And the front end of the bike starts with your front wheel. And more importantly, the front tyre. This is the preferred tyre of the MotorX KTM off-road team. It's a Pirelli Scorpion MX mid-soft. The only downfall is that being a soft tyre, they do wear out quickly, especially if you're cornering quite aggressively. You'll see the knobs on the side start to chip. This tyre has pretty much had its day. You can see most of the way around I've broken off all these side knobs. This time round I've gone for a bit more of a harder wearing tyre. This is the Pirelli Scorpion MX Extra X. It's a new tyre on the market. I haven't actually used one yet, so today is going to be a good test run. As you can see, the main difference is it's got beefier side knobs. So you've got a 12mm spanner for the rim lock, axle spanner, tyre levers, pump, and a T-bar with an 8, 10, 12. Bit of grease, I'll show you why later. Okay, first things first, get your 10mm T-bar and just back off these axle clamp bolts. You don't have to wind them out, you just back them off. Then with your axle spanner, now don't take that nut all the way out, just wind it almost to the last thread and leave it there. Reason being is that most of the time your axle's really stiff. By leaving that out a bit, you can just give it a whack and it cracks the axle free all the way. So even now I could just grab that and we're out. Let as much air out of the tube as you possibly can. Back off the rim lock. Don't undo the nut all the way, just back it right out. I'm doing this all outside in the bush just to show you how easy it is. You don't need the luxury of a workshop to change a tyre. Just kneel into the wheel and break the bead. Front tyres are so easy, especially if you've got a soft front tyre. That's already off. That side, break the bead away that side. Done. I just go offset to the valve and the rim lock here. Just move over to this side a bit. I won't go into too much detail about actually changing the tyre. You've all got your own methods, I'm sure, but it's so easy. Front tyres are very easy. Just get it started. Beauty about these tyre levers is that they just grab the inside of the tyre, and you can generally get away with some fast tyre changes without pinching the tube. Once you've got to about there, halfway, you can just rip it off the rest of the way. Get either side, boom, off. Okay, just locate the tube. You can see it's poking through right there. Just pull it out, take the tube out completely, make sure that it's right out of the valley. Just pull it up like that, put your foot on the tyre, grab your tyre lever, and with that little lip of the lever, just put it over, push it through a bit, get over. Front tyres are so easy, like that, that's as good as off. Just peel it the rest of the way, done. Now at some point in time, someone's gone and put talcum powder on a tube and the rest of the world followed. I'm not sure why. Talcum powder's probably good if you've got a rash on your ass or something, but for a tube and a motorbike, I've found the best thing that I use, the best thing to use for me, is grease. There's a lot of good rubber greases on the market, and the whole point of greasing the tube is to let it squirm inside the tyre. When you're ripping along at speed and hitting rocks, the whole reason you get punctures is because the tyre crushes against the rim and in the process pinches the tube. Now you've all heard of a pinch flat. When a pinch flat occurs, it's because you've hit a rock or something at high speed and the tyre grips the tube and just pinches it. And you can see how easy you could get a pair of pliers, anything, and just pinch a hole in it. When it's greased, look, you can barely even grab it. You'll find that once you've got half of it covered, you can use that grease and the grease on the gloves to just work all the way around. You just push down on your tyre, it kind of opens up. Just plop it in there like that. Have a bit of pressure in the tube, makes it a bit easier. And you can just feed it in without even touching it really. You just open it up and it'll slot itself in. Kind of help it in there. So start with the rim lock and the valve hole at the base. Just line up the valve as best you can close to it. Don't worry about getting it in yet. And just make sure that you get the rim lock down in one side of the bead first, like that. We're on. And then from here, you can basically fit the tyre halfway on by hand. Just grabbing the other side with your fingers sort of help that bead come over the rim. And you push down, rest that into your knee, push down with this hand, pull the tyre up with this hand, and kind of feed it on. Sort of like a tyre machine. And we're on. That's one side. You can see the valve stem's right at the hole. And to get that in there, you just come around the back. There's the valve hole. Just lift the tyre up like that. But you can get your hand in the back just to help it. And just poke it through like that. It's that easy. One very important thing you got to check, which I forgot to show you, is the rotation of the tyre. A lot of tyres like this are designed to work one way. You can see that chiseled edge, which in rotation is the rear edge of the tyre. This is your steering or braking edge of the knob. They've chafed that away for, I don't know, whatever the design is, but this is a one direction tyre. You have to check that. I completely fluked it. I've just put that on. I was too busy showing you the other things, but anyway, look for the rotation of the tyre. Okay, starting opposite your valve stem and your rim lock, just get that very first edge of the tyre lever inside on the rim. The beauty of these levers is they have a minimal edge inside the rim, so when you're coming over, it's not scooping the tube and wanting to puncture it. So same thing with the other one, just a little grab, you feel it go in, then pull it back. It's so easy. When you've got to there, just put your knee there, that'll sort of keep it in place. And same thing again. You can take fairly big bites. When you get to about there, cross over this side. It's all very easy, right? Pull that lever out, leave that one here, and just work your way. And you sort of want to close in on the rim lock last. As you start getting closer, just take smaller bites. That bead's just about ready to flip over. Just pull that rim lock back. You can kind of just have it there prepared, ready to flip the last bit over. It's really important to make sure that rim lock's back. And then you're basically home. Just hit that last bit on. Let's get your bike pump on there, go for your life. Okay, two things to check for is that as you pump air in, you'll notice that the rim lock will extend all the way out, which is a good sign. It means it's not caught up anywhere inside on the bead, or the tube isn't under it. If the tube is under it, it'll want to pull it right back, and if you do that up, you're just basically going to clamp the tube and pinch it. The other thing to check is that the bead of the tyre is set properly. Now, it doesn't have to be set properly all the way around the rim, it just has to be set on the rim lock before you tighten it up. I'm pretty confident that's all in place, so the valve cap's on, and just do the rim lock up. With a ring spanner about that length, that's plenty of leverage. Get your tyre lever, make sure it's spotlessly clean, there's no grease on the tyre lever. Stick it between your brake pads and just prise them apart a bit. Push the pad back into the caliper. That's just going to make it easier for the disc to locate. Slot your wheel in. Keep a bit of pressure on this fork leg and just push at the back. You'll find the axle will just find its way through, and you heard that clunk. That means the shoulder of the axle is home. You want that home completely. Take your axle nut, get it all the way in, and you should be able to get a bit of tension on there, but you want it to spin. Now that's bound up, and this side of the axle is actually spinning. So by making sure that that can spin freely, it's the first part to making sure that fork leg can settle in a natural position on the axle, and as it tracks up the fork, it's running true and not trying to bind as it compresses. Okay, when you're at this point, nip up the inside pinch bolt on the opposite fork leg. That'll allow the axle to be fixed, and then you can tighten the nut the rest of the way. Once you've got that side tight, back off that pinch bolt so it's loose again. I'll show you why later. You can do up these ones firm. They don't have to be over tight. It's quite a good locking system. They just need to be firm. This is the last part of fitting your front wheel. You want to make sure you can see how much this fork leg can float. And if that axle is bound up in that fork leg when you're putting the axle nut on, you can wind and pull the fork leg in, and that will make your front end feel so stiff and rigid and handle terribly. So you want to make sure your fork leg can relax into a central position, which you'll start to know exactly where that is. A good way of checking it is just to give it a little wriggle. That's pretty much in the relaxed spot. But before you tighten it up, take your bike off its stand, pump up the front brake, and just push down and compress the fork. And that's pretty much the last procedure that'll help that fork align centrally. Nip them up. And you're ready to ride.